Hello, this is Mike Lively from Northern Kentucky University, and we're starting our fifth part on box modeling. We're going to fly around the stage in PV3D today, and you can get the model, the jet model that we built in the last part, from code.google.com/p/flex3cookbook1/downloads/list. Let's go there right now. Just go to this page, and you can click on the max Collada jet.zip file to download the zip of the jet, and then you can bring that into PV3D. That actually has three things in it. Let me show you that real quick. We have the 3ds Max file, we have the Collada file, and we also have the file that you would import into Swift3D to work with. So there we go, providing you with all the information that we can. The code for the demo we're about to show you can be downloaded from Google Code as well. And that's the jet plane Flex 3 code with animation engine. So you'll have to actually install that on your server and get the PHP working. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So once you have those things, you're almost ready to go. If you want to see a demo on how it works, it's on YouTube, www.youtube.com/watch, and this number right here that I don't want to enunciate. And then you can try the code out, of course, at www.nku.org/jets. Let's do that right now. So we're going to go ahead and just run it from the web so you can take a look at it. So here it is in the planes glow, and you click on that, and up comes your plane, and with the control keys you can actually move that plane all around the stage. Isn't that cool? And you can hold more than one key down at the same time to get multiple effects. Let's roll it around. There we go. Cool. And there's a lot more we're going to do with this. We're going to put a pano engine on the back of it so you can actually pan around like in Second Life. And it's just lots of fun. So let's move out of this and go back and talk about how the code was made. So we're going to be discussing how the program was built, and there's a number of elements to that. The animation engine, building on a state engine, the DOM, MySQL, DOM versus Flex, DOM with Flex. Flex does the sorting, and some very important issues. Then we'll show you how to put the Collada file right into the PV3D program. It's really simple. People make it complicated, but it only takes about 5 lines of code to put a Collada file into PV3D. Talk about PHP and HTTP services and the program architecture as far as using states. Now, not a program engine state, but actually states in Flex. So there's a difference between the two. And finally, a very difficult issue that I struggled with for a while, and that's the focus. And so if you have very simple games and you're using the arrow keys, that's fine. But as things get more complex, you're going to pay attention to the focus, or building a focus manager. And that's what we have for you today. And so let's go to it. So I'm going to go right to the Flex program, and let's talk a little bit about the program itself. So let me open up Flex. And here's Flex right here. I'm going to talk a little bit about over here on this side. Of course, we have what's typical in Flex. Maybe break them down a little bit. The source folder, and in the source folder we have the Karina file, the com file, the flaw file, the images file, and what I call an MX XML or my XML file. And you open that up, you've got a lot of files in there, and that's all the PHP. You're going to give that to you, so you have to write that PHP. Actually, it's very simple to write, and it's all about DOM programming. It uses the DOM language to actually create the XML flat file system, as we have in there. And then we have, of course, the org, which is the PV3D code. Here are Collada files and images, and then our source files, of course, are MXML files. So that's how it's built. We're going to look at the MXML file right now, so I can get rid of this. And let's scroll up to the top. And there's a lot of stuff here, and it's because it's built on states. And then you have your HTTP services commands, and below that you have all the imports that you need to do to get everything functioning. Then you have your private commands, or basically your variables. You're bringing those in. And then after the variables, you start with the coding. And there's tons and 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 tons of functions here. It's all basically a bunch of spaghetti functions, and it's 1,400 lines of code. So it would take me basically 4 or 5 tutorials to get through all of that, and we're only going to use 1 or 2. So we're going to hit the highlights of the code. And in future tutorials, we'll be basically dissecting stuff like this apart piece by piece. All right, let's just take a look at a few of the issues. So let's go back and talk about what I talk about, states, not keyframes. I've built this animation engine upon states, not keyframes. Well, what does that mean? So we're back in the program. Let's click on one of the planes. And we're going to create an animation. So come along here and put test 4. And we're just going to hit submit and then start record, and the plane will, when it appears on the screen, you'll see the milliseconds start to tick away at the top, and it's recording. That's what those milliseconds are showing. And let's just start pressing down keys, and that's all there is to it. And I can zoom around. I can roll and pitch. And what it is, I'm saying it's in terms of states. There's not keyframes going on here. What's happening here is that the plane itself, it's actually recording the keys that I press down. So there's about 8 keys that I'm pressing, there's 12 keys that I'm pressing down, and it's basically each time I press, or there's a transition, it records those 12 keys and how much time it takes or how long those keys were held down. And so when it plays back through the program itself, and it basically it's like an artificial intelligence system. It just basically presses down the keys programmatically, the keys that I press. Now there's problems with a system like this, and it's always timing and lags and the animation getting right and repositioning, and there's lots of fixes for the stuff. So it's in a sense, it's not like a right-on keyframe animation. It may not, what you record from the screen may not turn out exact as what the user sees, unless you've actually worked with done a lot of programming and worked through some of those correction issues. But you know what? The file sizes are so small. I mean, they're just down in the K, so you could record for like 3 hours and you still have a very, very small file. So I like this a lot. It does it for me, and once it's been recorded, it'll always look the same when you play it. So you can't beat it as far as file size and efficiency is concerned. So that's a little bit about states and programming. Let's go ahead and take a look at the program and just show you just a little bit where some of the states are. I'm going to scroll down here until I find the initialization state. So at the initialization, actually all the keys are up. That's what these 12 zeros mean. And then you start pressing keys and the files start coming up. Let me show you a file of what's been created by this on the web. So here's one of the files that's being generated, I think, in test 4. And you can see right here, here's the initial generation. There's 4 possible key presses, and they're all up. So the number is 0, and here's the time it starts at 0. I have 2 of those because it actually takes 2 files to create an XML file in Flex. Or 2 data pieces to create an XML file. Next, you see I hold down the first key, and that starts at 4520 milliseconds. And then I hold down 2 keys at once. Here's a 1-1 that goes to that starts at 496 milliseconds. Then I hold down 1 key again. I let up a key, for example, and that's 6241. So the state engine just goes basically showing a 1 for every key that's held down, and when it starts, and then the next one is when it ends, and at the very end is the end time. So very simple programming. This is automatically spit out on the web using DOM and XML Flex programming, and this is what those files look like. And you got a lot of animation going on here for 18,000 milliseconds. But guess what? It's a really small file. In fact, what is the size of that file? Let's take a look real quick here. That file is 1.69 kilobytes. So you have basically 18 seconds of animation for 1.69 kilobytes. You can't beat that, or 1.69K. Super stuff. So I really like this engine. You're going to see me be using this a lot in a lot of the work I do. And it is new, and it's something that was only possible with Flex 3. And we're very excited about it. Well, let's go to that test 4 and go ahead and play that file that we just looked at, and it'll come on the screen. And when it does, the milliseconds will start ticking away. And each time it gets to a certain millisecond where the key has been pressed, see now it's starting to move. Moving around a little bit here. We did test 4, and this is test 4 running along, and we just looked at that data. And it actually put on the web right away as soon as you do it kind of real time. So very, very exciting program. I'm excited about it, you can tell. So there you go. And stopped at 18,360 milliseconds, and that's the program.